Hello and welcome to Scrum 5 with me, Andy Daniel. Today we're going to review the Rugby Championship third round. We've got Argentina travelling to New Zealand to take on the All Blacks, and we have got South Africa visiting Brisbane to play an under-fire Australia team and an even more under-fire Michael Cheika. Over to New Zealand, where New Zealand will host Argentina this weekend. It's going to be a tricky game for Argentina, there's no two ways about that. New Zealand have run a lot of changes, and I've also heard some people on social media saying that they're taking the Argentinians lightly. I don't think when you bring in someone like Richie Mo'unga, Ardie Savea, going down this, Nihi Milner-Skudder, that you're actually weakening your team in any way, shape or form. What Hansen's doing is very clever, to be honest. He's rotating his squad. There's so much depth there that he may as well save his players for the harder challenges ahead, which will be away from home rather than at home. TJ Perinara comes in for Aaron Smith, for instance. Very much a like-for-like change there, and Mo'unga loves to play on the gain line. So expect a slightly different game from the All Blacks, but generally speaking, Mo'unga's a top player, man of the match in the Super Rugby final this year, and he'll control the game just as well as Beauden Barrett does. You may not get the fireworks from Mo'unga, but you certainly get a better goal kicker. Argentina, quite rightfully so, have gone for pretty much the same as they had in Mendoza last week with their impressive victory over South Africa. Nicolas Sanchez is going to have a huge game against Mo'unga. He's probably pleased he's playing against Mo'unga rather than Barrett. But I think from Argentina's perspective, try and keep the ball as much as possible. Don't kick too much. Don't kick it to that dangerous back three of New Zealand. And they may still be in the game after 40-50 minutes, but ball is going to be key for the Pumas. They have to keep hold of it. They have to keep it safe. Otherwise, it's not going to be a pretty evening for them. But now let's look in depth at what Australia have to do this weekend. It's not so much that they've lost to the All Blacks twice in the last 2 weeks, it's more the manner that they've lost to them. They've sort of been in the game around half-time for both games, but then they just capitulated in the second half. Bernard Foley's been dropped this week for Kurtley Beale. Kurtley Beale comes in at 10, with Matt Tamua coming in at 12. That's two ball handlers, two people that can run with ball in hand and attack the gain line. The last few weeks, Bernard Foley's been trying to play his usual game of inside runners, outside runners, but in all honesty, it hasn't worked so far. Israel Folau comes back in at fullback. That gives Beale from 10 a fantastic option. But this is a huge game for Australia, and Michael Cheika especially. They need to show some fight. They need to win. They have to win this game, or else Michael Cheika could well be getting his P45 at the end of it. The CEO of Australian Rugby's come out in full support of Cheika this week. But of course you did, because that's what you've got to do when you've got a man in charge. You have to support them. Behind the scenes, I get the feeling it's getting a little bit fractious, and I think Cheika probably needs a good win to try and settle some nerves leading into a World Cup year coming up next year. Onto the Springboks now then, and changes afoot everywhere. So the centre partnership is fully changed now. They've reverted back de Allende and Jesse Creel. This was a partnership that started a couple of years ago, and everyone really thought that it was going to take off. De Allende, a hard ball carrier. Jesse Creel, incredibly quick, fantastic outside shoulder runner. It's probably the 12 and 13 partnership that Erasmus has wanted to get together for quite some time now, and now he's finally got his chance. Biggest change of all, though, has to be at fly half. Andre Pollard hasn't got his backs firing in the last two games, but Elton Yankees, we know, is a confidence player. He hasn't done it yet in the Springboks shirt, not to the ability that he has for the Lions. Huge test for him down in Brisbane. It's a cauldron. The South Africans have only ever won there once in their history, and now the time is now for them to get that victory and really prove that Rassie Erasmus is making changes. In the pack, it's another big decision. Malcolm Marx drops to the bench. Hasn't had the greatest championship, if we're honest, but Bongi comes in there at hooker, and then Stephen Kitsoff, who's generally been used as an impact sub, will come in to prop there as well. It's not a surprise really. They got taken apart last week, 2 weeks ago in Mendoza. The pack really struggled and only went one way. Peter Steph-Toy also comes in to replace Francois Lowe. Lowe has done a hell of a lot of travelling recently, and his performance last week for Bath was very tiring. So that's not really a surprise. Steph-Toy, very much a utility player, but will come in on the blind side, and that's the only change in the back row. So there we go. The All Blacks will probably, I imagine, take Argentina to task down in New Zealand. Biggest game of the weekend though has to be in Brisbane. Australia versus South Africa. Whoever wins is going to have a lot of relief and pressure taken off their shoulders. Whoever loses, the pressure just keeps mounting. I would say the biggest pressure is on Michael Cheika to get that result at home. Until next time, keep it rugby, keep it scrum 5. We'll see you soon.